there are a lot of people that are struggling with specific survival issues. And I'm not speaking about those people because I don't feel qualified to. So I'm speaking about those of us who see the headlines and we get very overwhelmed and frustrated and just brokenhearted about it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. You are here again with me while I'm on vacation. I keep trying to find like a better location for us to have this video. I was out here doing yoga on the balcony earlier and it was just so nice. So I hope you can see a little bit of the reflection in the glass of what I'm looking at, because it's kind of impossible to have the lighting on me with a beautiful background. Today I have a glass of wine and we are going to discuss peace and politics. So I am writing a book called Cultivating Peace, and there's a lot of things I discuss, but I was recently thinking about how my privilege has influenced my writing, and I wanted to take a deeper perspective of what does peace look like for people who do not have privilege. And especially in our current political climate, it is quite easy to see why a lot of people wouldn't have peace in their life. And so I wanted to discuss different ways I think we owe ourselves peace no matter what the politics are, and then also kind of bring in like how you can be political and still have peace in your life. This is not an easy topic for sure, and I would love your input, especially if you think that I am missing big pieces and things that I discussed today. I'd certainly welcome a discussion. I'm always learning and growing and hoping to be a better, more understanding person. But I only know the issues that I have really faced in my life, and being white, I do not have a lot of racial discriminations that a lot of other people will have. So I'm gonna try to be informed as I discuss peace and politics, but just be aware I'm probably going to be wrong about a couple things, and I know that, but I mean, perfection doesn't exist, and I think it's better if you try with an open mind to do something and are willing to open discussion than if you just make it seem like you're this saint all of the time. So with that being said, since I'm writing a book called Cultivating Peace, I am really seeing a lot of trends in the world about things that take away from our ability to be in a peaceful place within ourselves. I think peace is something that everyone has the opportunity to cultivate within themselves, and obviously with cultivation, the word itself is very carefully chosen, because I think about it like cultivating a garden. You take time, you plan, you make sure to nourish the soil, because you know that however good the soil is how good the food is going to be that you're going to pull out of the earth. So everything is very intentional with cultivating your peace. And I wanted to talk about what peace looks like for me right now with our social, with our political climate as of late. Because as someone who's very empathetic and I really want to do a lot for people, I also know that I have limitations. And when I was young, I was parentified. I had to take care of people at a really young age. I was basically the third parent to my siblings, and I'm the oldest of 6, so there was a lot of labor that I was just forced into doing, and I didn't realize like how much I was being taken advantage of. So now I'm very clear about boundaries, and I don't like doing stuff for other people. So with these two things, how do I reconcile that I have a duty to do what I can in order to help the political space be better, and also knowing that I burn out very easily when I do stuff for other people. So basically I've been looking at how far does our power really go. I like to think about it like, yes, you have a duty to be political, I think. And especially if you're privileged, you have even more of a duty to be political and be informed and be willing to share your thoughts and opinions with the world. It's also, it can be a little overwhelming. And I think it's intentional that we are easily overwhelmed by all the terrible things going on in the world. I think that's part of the reason why, the news is so prevalent, because people respond with really big reactions to lots of volatility. So I think that it's important to be very, very educated, and I try to be educated from people who are calm and have an aura of peace about them. And so when they speak about political issues and activism and things that have happened in the past leading up to where we are now, where does racism really, where is it laced into our everyday lives? Where does it come from? Where do we come from? Everything like that. I think it's very important that you're educated. Yes. I think it's very important that you're aware. That is correct. But I think that if you can be educated from people who can be as calm and as educated in their expression of what is happening, I think you'll be better off, because I want us all to live in a space where our nervous systems are not constantly in fight or flight. And it's nearly impossible when you see that there's people who are being ripped away from their homes and their loved ones, and being imprisoned falsely, and it's truly horrendous and it's truly heartbreaking. And I'm not going to gloss over that. And I think that it's important for me when I think about what can I do? How far does my power go? I am in Japan. I cannot go to any of the protests in the US without flying back, and then it's going to be very expensive for me to stay there. And you never know if things are going to get violent at these protests. And if I'd have to fly back home to Japan, I'm not sure how that would go. I think for me personally, what's a really good political practice is for me to be an example of what Americans can be living here in Japan. I'm here in Okinawa right now. Normally I live in Tokyo, but my husband's here for a work trip. And Okinawa has a very painful history with a lot of fighting from Japanese and American wars. And there's a lot of American influence here. I mean, literally, we're in a place right now called Little America, I think. American Village, something like that. And you can just see how much American influence is here. And we have, of course, tons of military bases here as well. I think the other night, me and my husband were at a restaurant, and there were all these young American men, and they were speaking very loudly and very violently about things that they've gone through, I guess, at their training camps and whatever it is that they do. And they were very noisy, they were very brash, they were, I just didn't appreciate their expression. Very typical American expression, right? And so I was just thinking, wow, there's a lot of that type of American around here. And one time, a few months ago in Tokyo, I was at an art exhibition that had American people there as well as Japanese locals were presenting. And I got to meet another Japanese woman, and we were discussing like our backgrounds, and we were meeting each other, hi, hello, nice to meet you, stuff like that. And something she said really stuck with me, and it made me really shift my perspective on how I interact with Japanese people since I'm living here. She said, wow, you're so polite. You're not bold and forceful like I thought Americans were. And so something I really, really choose to be as polite and as thoughtful and as considerate as I can be as a American person living in Japan. Because I think a lot of politics is basically just connection or lack thereof. And we all know when you go to another country, when you learn another language, when you really sit down and get to know people and who they really are with an open mind, a lot of issues really tend to be very obvious, and the resolutions seem just as obvious. And I think that if we can be very grounded and we can be very intentional in our interactions with each other as Americans and with each other as people of the world, I think this is going to help break down a lot of barriers that people might have in their mind about who other people are, and it's going to soften their hearts. And this, of course, brings us to a very opposite issue, which is it is not our duty to inform people who have closed off their hearts. I think it's very important that we understand where our power is powerless, and we don't fight fights that are gonna be nothing, right? So I think all the die-hard MAGA people, a lot of them I think are too far gone, and so I never waste my time talking to them about politics, because I have seen people live in a cult before. I'm from a cult, and I know what it looks like when a person can't listen, when they can't hear you, when they cannot change their perspective. So a lot of the things that I look at is how can I change people is in my local community. So I try to share things that are created by people who have very similar political views as myself. And I'm hoping to reach people who are still in that space of I'm not political, but they're very hurt by what's going on in the world. And so I'm hoping that if I share things and I am the kind of person that people want to be, like I'm peaceful, I'm grounded, I'm connected to myself, I'm happy, I'm I'm successful in whatever, capacity is important to people. I think that if you can be an example of what people want to be or want to love, right? Like if people want to be your friend, I think that gives you also a space to be able to share more opinions. And so that's one of the aspects that I do. And then I also try to support people, however I can, that are fighting the good fight. Obviously, I am never going to, I'm never interested in arguing with people who have different political opinions. I'll speak to people who aren't far off from my, pro-humanitarian views. Like, I think everyone deserves to live a good life, and you're not going to change my mind on that. So I refuse to have arguments or discussions that drain me. And basically, when I see stuff on the news, I try to process it. So if I see a bunch of stuff and it's just overwhelming me, what I do is I log off and I sit with my feelings and I process them. And this basically looks like, and it's very simple to do, it looks like I sit there and I hold this feeling. So if it's grief, if it's disgust, if it's anger, if it's fear, I sit there and I hold it and I just look at it. And as I look at it more and more, it becomes more integrated. Not only the truth of the matter, which is that something terrible has happened in the world. I don't argue with the truth. I think a lot of people argue with the truth. They see something. I know MAGA does this a lot. They'll see something on the news and they'll just say that's not true if they don't like it. And I don't think that that's not true is a sound response, because I just treat everything like it's true. That's true and it's terrible. And then I just integrate it into my body of knowledge about the world. And I also integrate the healing. And I see what I want to do with it once I'm not as reactive. I hold it until it's a size that I can work with. And then I think to myself, what would make me feel better? What's something I would like to do about this? And if I would like to be very physical about it, okay, fine. I look at what I can actually do. Like, I would love to go be at the protests in the US. I just feel it in my body, like this desire to be there. But because it's so not feasible for where I live, I'm having to find other ways to be an outlet for that passion that I have. But I think it's important that you can have space for both politics and your own peace at the same time, and that you can make sure that you're respecting both at the same time. So there are going to be times when you're not peaceful, but the goal is that you have peace available within your system more times than not. And when you're by yourself and you're not taking in any information about the world that isn't specific to your location, because let's be honest, there are a lot of people that are struggling with specific survival issues. And I'm not speaking about those people because I don't feel qualified to. So I'm speaking about those of us who see the headlines and we get very overwhelmed and frustrated and just brokenhearted about it. I think it's important that we don't lose hope and that we don't lose perspective. I don't know about you, but I can hold the perspective of that terrible things are happening over there, but that is not in my neighborhood, and in my neighborhood good things are happening. And since I want good things to continue happening, I will find it in myself to appreciate as hard as I can the things that are going well in my life and in my neighborhood. And I think some people will be frustrated by that statement, but I feel very strongly that it's my duty to appreciate things however difficult it may be, because it's not easy to pull yourself away from those headlines. It's not easy to try to change your the thoughts that you're having after you read something so heart-wrenching, so gut-wrenching, so disgustingly evil. So I think it's an exercise of resilience if you can pull yourself away from those headlines, because if it's in your neighborhood, then yeah, go fight. I would. I want to. It's just, it's not my neighborhood, so it's not really my jurisdiction, if you will, you know? But I will support those people. So I think it's really important that you know exactly how far your power goes. Don't assume you're more powerful than you are. Don't assume that you're going to change people's minds who don't want their minds changed. They are a lost cause. Treat them as such. Pretend they don't exist. And then take all of that energy that you would put into arguing with a maggot and decide that you are just going to pour this love, or pour this energy as love, into whatever they oppose. I think something that's very important to consider, a lot of the people who are being so cruel, they really are powerless. And they thrive when other people shine the spotlight on them. And I refuse to shine any spotlights on them. I don't have time for that. But I am going to cultivate the goodness of the world. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to appreciate it. I'm going to be peaceful every chance I get, because your peace is political. Think about it like this. If, let me find it. I'm trying to find a nice way to say this. Do you think our president feels better or worse knowing that people like us are choosing to be peaceful while he wreaks havoc on our system? Peaceful people have much more capacity for seeking out solutions to get rid of the scourge that he is. People like him hope that we are stupid enough to be knocked out of our peace and clarity by the choices he makes. And I don't know about you, but I refuse to allow him to have that power in my life. I know he's capable of ruining the lives of many people, and he is actively doing so. But I am not that person right now. So it is my duty to remain in a clear state of mind so that I can see everything that's happening. I can continue educating myself. I think a book that's very important to read is The Laws of Human Nature and The Laws of Power. They have numbers in there. I don't remember what the numbers are. When you read a book like that, you basically just see the most unhealthy people in politics just be described over and over and over, without their names, but that character trait, it's everywhere in politics, especially now, more so than ever, or more so than in a while. And I think it's tough because it's such a complex issue, and I'm only able to cover some of the pieces and not in that much depth. So forgive me, I cannot go into all of the nuances regarding peace, maintaining your peace in crazy political times. But I hope that you're doing everything you can to be peaceful as much as you can. And just remember, Trump would hate it if he knew that you're peaceful in these trying times. If you feel at peace within yourself and then you feel this rage of I am going to go and fight for people who cannot fight for themselves, good for you. Rage is not separate from peace in my perspective. Rage is actually a very big part of what it takes for me to live my life. But every time that I am filled with this rage, I feel all of it, I appreciate all of it, and I take that energy, that fiery, amazing, powerful, bold energy, and I pour it into something that I think makes the world a better place. And if you are a parent, I hope that you know raising your children to be kind is a very political statement. Sharing your opinions, very political. Supporting marginalized groups of people, that's a very political choice. If you think something's gonna piss off a racist old white man, please do it. Please do it. I think it will take time for us to make the world a better place, but I do think it's possible. And stay educated. Stay educated and keep a clear vision of what you want to do in the world and how you want the world to look. Don't lose sight of that vision, what you want the world to look like. Hold it, nourish it, do everything you can to feed into it, and just don't fight with the current reality. Just integrate it into what is and say, I know things are this way right now, but they will be better. I know it because I can see the vision of it, and I know how full of rage so many people are at this current administration's choices. Rage like that has to go somewhere. What do you think is going to happen? You think these people are going to give it up? No. These people are going to either fight in front of the ICE buildings, or they're going to run for office and change policies, or they're going to raise their children to be the most menacing, fun-loving, appreciative, educated little humans possible. There are so many ways to be political, and I hope that you are creative and you love what you're doing. And maintain your peace as well as you can. If it dips down every now and then and you're not peaceful, fine. I'm not saying you have to be peaceful all of the time. I'm saying nourish your nervous system to the point where peace is where you most often sit. Thank you for watching this video. I know this is such a tough topic. I would love it if you had comments or educational standpoints that you would like to share with me. I would love that so much. Thank you for supporting me. I love you and I support you, especially in these trying, difficult times. but I believe that we are incredibly powerful and that our peace is powerful and we can change the world. We can. So go be a powerful woman, be a political woman, be a peaceful woman. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, you guys.